Hello, I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE, here for the Crypto Trailblazers ongoing series featuring the leaders in crypto infrastructure, crypto economics, the financial disruption, the acceleration of new business models, and all the people making it happen. And as the mainstreaming of the financial systems kind of blends in with crypto, a whole nother generation of activities, productization, and capabilities, and of course, wealth creation is happening. Frank Chaparro is here, head of content and special parts at GSR. Frank, thanks for coming on theCUBE, appreciate it.
Good to be here. This is a special day, I'd say.
It's a special day. We have Solana's listing of their ETF, and a really kind of a moment to celebrate the crypto crossover, because ringing the closing bell at the NYSE is, you see, okay, wow, it's happening. It's continuing to happen.
The juxtaposition's poignant. I mean, when I hearken back to those Haslion days of when Solana was really establishing itself in 2020, I remember speaking with Anatoly and him describing the project as, and this is really the branding that they had at the time, was a NYSE 2.0,
yeah,
or a Wall Street 2.0. And to see them ring the New York Stock Exchange bell today for this flagship, canonical really, ETF product, speaks to how far we've come since those early days. It's really incredible.
And the NYSE, I got to say, is becoming a symbol for crypto because it's iconic. It has imagery. It's got great optics, and in a global landscape, it represents capitalism and trading. Except they have bells and they have it's opening and closing. Well, we don't need that anymore in the future. All these different markets, but also because they got the ETF done. I mean, the execution. I'm impressed by the fact that Solana got this out during a government shutdown. Huge deal. I mean, and plus the validation, the mainstream is now retail can buy in. Solana's got that NVIDIA effect kind of going on. When I say NVIDIA effect, NVIDIA was a game card company, then became obviously now AI worth $5 trillion. And Solana has a similar kind of DNA to that, where it's like technology, it's peaked, it's focused, doesn't have everything Ethereum has, but they're highly technical, computer science, engineering, low latency. They're really kind of grinding away. Now, if they can continue that and do like what NVIDIA's formula is, just keep making it better, then we don't know what's going to happen. So I want to ask you kind of that question of, at your firm, you guys are doing a ton of work. You got your fingers in a lot of action, and the productization, the commercialization, and the money making in crypto. I mean, you go back just 5 years or 8 years. I mean, getting fiat money out of crypto is like really, and they had all the regime, dark times here in the US. This is prime time. Okay, give me your thoughts on this commercialization wave.
No, it's a really good point, and you're 100% right. This is prime time because of the inflows that are pouring into the space across a number of different vehicles. Obviously, ETFs have been red hot. This debut was a massive debut. The first Bitcoin ETFs that launched were among the largest ETF debuts in the history of Wall Street. And at the same time, at a firm like GSR, where we sit at the center of crypto's capital markets as a provider of liquidity, as an investor on the venture side and on the asset management side, and as an OTC provider, a systematic OTC provider, we as a firm are noticing the fact that this is prime time, and that firms across Wall Street are positioning themselves, like NYSE and many others, to gate crash and dominate crypto. Over the past week, and we actually put out some research on this on our socials, the number of firms that are exploring stablecoins continues to mount, from Apollo to Citigroup announcing that they're entering this market, to Zelle as well, which is obviously one of the largest connectors of people financially. Everyone wants to get on the stablecoin RWA bandwagon, and these are not cryptocurrencies in the sense of Solana and Bitcoin and Ethereum, but these are digital assets. And so the future that we see at GSR is eventually all of these assets will trade on chain, and market participants and counterparties will need liquidity providers that are suited and for over a decade have engaged in these on-chain 24/7 capital markets. Now, at the same time, like I said, if you juxtapose it with the street, I think NYSE is a good example, moving towards 24/5 or potentially maybe even 24/7 trading. I think they did a poll of a lot of their clients on whether that would be the right move. Wall Street recognizes that this is the direction that we're going in, and firms like GSR need to be prepared for when they do to either partner or compete.
You know, I get asked a lot because I'm from California about the NYSE versus NASDAQ. And since you mentioned it, I'll bring this up. And you know, I don't really have a dog in that hunt, except we have a studio here, not there. A great studio, by the way. But NYSE is not my dad's NYSE.
It's absolutely not.
It's ICE. ICE is the parent company. They're innovative. I mean, so you brought up the 24/7 concept. That's already happening. It just happens to be with the bells, and it's just more, maybe it's historical. But when you start thinking about 24/7 assets on chain, ICE is in the data business. They're in the exchange, you know, business. They do energy. There's a zillion diverse things that they do, and so you got to look at their investment in Poly Market. So that's a signal.
It's a huge signal. And Jeff Sprecher, I mean, he knows where the puck is skating, and obviously he's been a visionary since he established ICE, since he bought New York Stock Exchange, and now with something like the Poly Market investment, it illustrates how this segment, this industry is going to be core to our capital markets moving forward. Yeah,
well, and I think that's what I want to get into. As you look at your business now, you mentioned some of those things. Explain the importance of this ETF here, the crypto ETF, and how does this compare to other ETFs and the significance of it?
It's a really important question. When I think about what drives crypto markets, specifically over the past year, it is flows. Flows and macro have been in the driver's seat. You rewind the clock maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it was super specific crypto tailwinds that drove big pops, or exchange listings as well. We still see some of that, but right now, since for so long, crypto was just the same capital recycling for the most part, the introduction of new flows and vis-a-vis ETFs, which bring in a whole unlock of capital through IRAs and retirement accounts, is a game changer for crypto.
So let me ask you a question. I kind of want to just probe a little, because I'm not an expert on some of the inner workings of the financial systems that you play in. But I know on the crypto side, since I've been in since 2012, knowing all the people, there's a lot of whales and billions of dollars they're holding. And it was hard to get that liquid. I mean, even though they're anonymous, they're still tracked. So there was kind of this like clogged up system of wealth that, if released,
well, it's being released,
would change the flow diversity. Am I getting that right, or is that the wrong scope problem?
I can give you a very interesting granular example that points to this convergence about what you're speaking. With the rise of a lot of these digital asset treasury companies, what you're seeing, and this is a super unique, specific example of this intertwining of the two systems, you're having a lot of these raises where there's a component that's contributed in kind, right? So if I'm investor in project X and I want to then participate in a PIPE or SPAC deal for a debt, I can contribute, even in some instances, the locked tokens that I have, that I've invested in you know, any sort of ecosystem project, to that SPAC or that PIPE. And so that then, for the long-term holders of, you know, startup X in crypto or startup Y, gives them a unique liquidity opportunity that they otherwise wouldn't have had if they had then held on or sort of sat through that traditional vesting cycle.
You know,
and it's also introducing a new ability for crypto folks to access something that's extremely important and that they haven't had access to, which is credit. For the majority of crypto's history, we've either had no credit market or an extremely fragile and volatile credit market. And so now, because you know, the collateral requirements are, it's a Bitcoin or bust for the most part, and we saw that bust in 2021.
And I saw people taking debt out, and
now they have equity.
The debt interest payment was so much smaller than their gains on crypto. So the credit market naturally came out of that. Great point. That's a great point. And that puts capital to work.
Exactly.
And so that's that cycle. So on a philosophical question on that point, because this brings up like kind of something I've been seeing, I want to get your reaction to. This product market fit kind of angle here. There's almost a money engineering talent, because you're getting into like hedge fund thinking. You're getting into engineer math. You know, there's an engineering layer of how to engineer money, because if you got programmable money, it's still money, but it's programmable. Now you have the ability to do things like create some staking, get some credit. There's derivatives are hot. You mentioned DATs, the treasuries. And with stablecoin and the Genius Act, it's opening up massive product opportunities. Products meaning in quotes, like not like a SaaS app or an app, like financial product.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Financial product.
And you hit on a really important part, which is what the future of crypto, if it's manifested, will be, which is the financialization of every element of our lives. When you think about NFTs, right, that's the financialization of different elements of culture. Even there's obviously projects that try to financialize our social capital and social equity that we have on different platforms. I know you guys have 15 million followers. Wouldn't it be nice if you could leverage that in the form of an NFT to then borrow to expand your studio and set up a nice studio in I don't know, wherever you guys might be keen to be, on an island somewhere one day.
London, Dubai, Singapore, DC would be our studio.
These are the opportunities. But this is what crypto enables. It allows for
So what would we do with it? How would we do that? To play that out. So we have we tokenize the community, create a network, they're measured.
Well, that's another opportunity, right? In terms of creating like these social networks. The way crypto through things like meme coins are hyper efficient at capital raising is one element. The other interesting element is the fact that you have not just this hyper financialization, but also the ability to do instant payments, to reconcile things more quickly than you have on Wall Street. But at the same time, a lot of this just mirrors what's happening in finance. Yeah. You mentioned the hyper productization of things that we see in crypto. At the end of the day, all of these markets are converging. Not just crypto and Wall Street, but retail and institutional. And so the gamification of markets is already happening on Wall Street, and crypto is just mirroring that with things like DATs. On Wall Street, you have, PE firms creating ETFs. That's something that you never would have imagined firms doing 10 years ago. And we're really kind of just running towards the same finish line in a sense.
On your current activities, what's the most popular thing that you guys are doing? Where's the activity? How would you heat map kind of the services that the market needs that you guys are delivering? Can you rank them? What's their priority? Where's the action, I guess?
I mean, a lot of the action is in derivatives, and that's sort of our bread and butter as a firm. When we gate crash the sort of the zeitgeist of attention in crypto, we've been around since 2013, but I feel like with crypto growing, we became more prominent in 2018. Bespoke esoteric derivatives was kind of the bread and butter, and that's still obviously a huge area of growth, especially with most of liquidity being centered around offshore perpetuals. But just the sort of opening gates of flows from ETFs, that's a huge opportunity to market make in. Yeah. And then with, to your point, whales, right? Servicing them with high touch, almost like private banking like services that, they might not be able to get at a Citi or a Goldman because they're not engaging with those types of assets yet. That's a huge opportunity for us to provide a lot of these whales. They want to do the same thing that the rich people that we know in normal markets want to do.
And that's new capital flowing in too.
Yeah.
So again, that's a benefit. I had so many people say, yeah, I like to, because they want a hold, obviously it's going up, why spend it?
But at the same time, our markets are really fragile. And I think even still with all the benefits of blockchain technology, the actual exchanges still have to grapple with the fact that they're built on traditional market infrastructure. And so you see these cascading liquidation events and these blow-ups happen, and I would say that's one of the tailwinds as well.
Frank, talk about the vibe of the market, because you've seen both sides.
It's not vibing. It's not, despite all these tailwinds, there's still.
So maybe vibe coding is playing that word vibe. What's the sentiment of the market as you look back at where you've come from early days? There was a really kind of a real commitment. Everyone knew each other. We were just talking the Solana guys. You've been on the circuits. You see everyone at the different events. Now you have kind of this mainstream adoption. Is there a change in culture, mindset? It seems like old and new are coming together, and people, not just the young guns taking over. It's the folks who have been around, experience, kind of leaning in. So it's like it's not the new beats the old.
Guess I'm not a young gun anymore.
You're a mid gun. I'm an old gun.
I guess the dye and the Botox isn't working for me.
You're considered an OG since you've been in crypto since 2013.
Well, you hit on
technically an OG.
You hit on a really interesting point, which I sort of alluded to before, which is the fact that what drives this market now is the same tailwinds and headwinds that drive global equities at the end of the day. And if anything, right now in this moment, we're almost in a very weird position where almost bad news is really bad news for crypto and good news is meh news for crypto. Despite all of the activations that we're seeing and the flows pouring into the space, I think in this present moment, people are nervous, especially because of these cascading liquidations and the drawdowns that have precipitated.
What are the hot spots that you see that people should pay attention to? I mean, crypto now. It's just my opinion. We could debate it or agree, but when you have dogma or vision and grind and grit like most entrepreneurs have, and we saw Solana, they almost had two or three near-death experiences.
Well, that's exactly right. What I was going to say is that nothing feels existential anymore, right? There's no sort of existential threat to crypto as an asset class. Specific tokens on the long tail, for sure there are. For DATs, definitely. But crypto has now found product market fit vis-a-vis stablecoins and real world assets, and that's not going to change. And that's really what's bringing a lot of the attention from a different genre of characters into the space.
Yeah, and that's why I was kind of trying to make that metaphor leap of NVIDIA to AI, what they've done, starting out as a graphics card for video games, to now omniverse simulation technology, AI factories, and their entire disruption or acceleration, in their words, is a completely different operational model. Okay, that's the AI side. And AI is bounded by power. Well, guess what? So is crypto. So if you take that theory on this side of the ledger, pun intended, what crypto will do is follow an NVIDIA-like track, because the operating model will change. The efficiencies and gains through technology or the network effect or the network and the derivative works on top, that will happen. I do agree with you. I think the genie's out of the bottle. It's a product market fit, but it's almost like, to use the NVIDIA example, the graphics card today. There's so much more headroom. What's your reaction to that in terms of opportunity? Do you agree? Weird metaphor.
I 100% agree. We on one side of the equation, we have the inflows pouring into these products, but on the other side of the equation, there is still a wall between stablecoin assets touching the big banks. And once that wall breaks, you will have that NVIDIA moment, because all of our markets will make that transition, will make that jump. And a lot of these new products are exploding without that new capital, like something like BIDL. For instance, the lion's share of those inflows are from crypto native people. And so there's still so much room to grow from this current moment. And once you see the big banks start accepting crypto and stablecoin as collateral, it's just going to explode.
And that's where I think the software will be really awesome, because then you'll have abstractions. You'll abstract away the plumbing and multi-chain or multi-protocol things going on, and it'll just be a wallet like Apple Pay. Like it's just like today, like Venmo, like what are these? Are like click, click, click.
Not having to write down 12 words on a piece of paper and sticking it in a lockbox somewhere.
We could spend an hour on custody. That's always creeps fear. All right, so final question. What are you excited about right now in the market? Just kind of taking your Frank hat off at GSR2, like industry participant. as someone who's seen what's happened, where we are now, and kind of we talked about the future. What are you most excited about that's going to play out in the next few years?
I think that one thing that'll be exciting is to see that intersection of AI and crypto converge. I mean, when we think about, and I'm sure everybody's been seeing it, right? The
agents, baby.
The agents,
the
right?
agents are coming.
How are they going to participate properly in this economy without crypto wallets? I mean, you can't have Frank's AI agent go open up a private wealth account at Citi or JP Morgan, but they can have wallets. And so I think the AI stuff needs to come to fruition first, and then undergirding that will be crypto rails for their full participation, and that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, it's the old joke. Have my agent call your agent, we'll do a deal. I mean, that's coming.
Exactly.
That's happening.
And the contract will be executed on chain.
Frank, great to have you on.
Thanks
great
so
conversation.
Much. Thanks so much.
Again, the Crypto Trailblazers is an ongoing series here at theCUBE at the NYSE studio, part of theCUBE and the NYSE Wired programming community. It's an open access of entrepreneurs. Again, bringing all the big players in. Solana ringing the bell, the listing. Again, the change is coming. Product market fit for crypto infrastructure, crypto solutions and protocols will open up, and once the banks start adopting stablecoin, it will be just a matter of time. The floodgates will open and innovation will happen. Today you can get Solana on ETF. So it's happening and keeps happening. Of course, we're doing our job to keep happening and bringing the content to you. I'm John Furrier. Thanks for watching.